terms of recording, I do record all classes if I think about it, and I post the recordings on my YouTube channel so that if you wind up missing something, if you miss a class or if you don't understand something and want to go back and re-review it, that's always something you can do. What we're going to do today largely is introduction. If you haven't heard yet, you don't have discussion this week. That's something that'll start next week. What I want to do is start sharing a number of things that we'll walk through and get you set up so we can make a lot of progress today. And see what we can share here. Okay, so I want to share content. I want to share that. Let's see. I want to share Chrome. And all right, let's see if we can get this running. Always fun with this stuff. Hold on just a second. My auxiliary monitor went down, which is always a good case. Okay. For today's class, I have posted the notes out there. We'll get through this later on, but I maintain a GitHub channel. If you haven't seen GitHub before, it's a site opened. It's now owned by Microsoft, but it's free for public use for certain things. And it's a place where you can share content. And I always share things relevant to the class there. I have a site. You can see here, the address will be in the notes, github.com/al-arsenal201. And this is where I put the content for the classes. You can see that I have a repository from last fall 2020. This is the third semester I've taught this class. And I've created one for this semester, spring 2021 lecture notes. There will be additional repositories, additional repos put out here as we move through. And if you click on that repo, spring 2021 lecture notes, you can see that the lecture notes I'm going to walk through today are there. So you can fetch them at any time to follow along. I do try to put my lecture notes up ahead of class. I want you to be able to follow along and ask questions. This course works much better if it's interactive than if I just sit here and lecture for 75 minutes. Trust me, we're not going to have a lot of fun that way. Feel free to interrupt and ask questions anytime. Some people are a little self-conscious about that, particularly given that the course the lectures are recorded. That's fine. I perfectly understand that. Feel free. There's a chat window in WebEx. Feel free to type your questions into chat, and we can cover them that way. I do try to monitor the chat window and keep up with what's going on. So I just wanted to do that quick little thing to show you where these lecture notes are already, and then next week's will be out before the lectures as well. Everything I'm going to talk about today, hopefully, is in the lecture notes. We'll catch up on anything I missed. This is section 40, the discussion, the lecture. You are all in discussions, section 41 or 42. This is a computer science class. This is not a learn to code. Now, what do I mean by that? And I always get pinged because it makes it seem like I'm insulting other people. It makes it seem like things are sounding bad. That is not my intent at all. When you take a coding class, it teaches you how to use some tools to solve some interesting problems. And that's a wonderful thing. Sometimes all you want to do is learn how to use tools to solve problems, right? You know, I built a raised bed to grow some tomato plants. I want to learn how to use the various tools I need. I don't want to be a master carpenter and be licensed by the state of Maryland to do home improvement. I want to nail some boards together so I can put a frame and grow some tomatoes. So coding is fine. It's wonderful. It teaches you to do some tools, but we're going to go way beyond that. Okay, we're going to go way beyond that kind of thing in this class. we're going to teach you computer science. We are going to focus on the proper way to solve problems, the proper way to analyze something, to design a solution, to figure out an algorithm that can be best used to apply to your problem. And then lastly, how to use the tools to write code and build robust, repeatable, extendable, reusable solutions. So when we say we're teaching computer science, not coding, yes, of course, you'll learn to code. Yes, of course, by the end of the semester, you will know how to write a lot of programs in Python and solve some pretty complex problems. Not a problem. You will learn that, but it's not just about using Python to do that. It's about understanding why this is the right approach to take, understanding why it applies to your major field. It's not just learning about, a couple of things. You'll hear me use the term sling code. To sling code means to just write down something that'll solve a problem today and be done, and you'll never use it again. We're going to go beyond that. So when we say this is Computer Science 201, it is not Coding 201. You might get frustrated with me later on during the semester because you'll find a quick and dirty way to solve a problem that solves a homework problem, but that is not computer science. And we're going to try to force you to do it the right way. So Comp Sci, that's what you signed up for. Me, a quick sidetrack on the introduction. Let's see if we can get this to work. Okay, come on, here we go.
Professor? We can't hear any audio.
I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, you couldn't hear the audio?
Yeah.
Blast. Okay, I will play that again next Monday when I figure out how to get that application to share the audio. My apologies. Yes, that was real. And the joke here is that was from June 11th, 2004 was the day that aired. One of those three guys is going to be your instructor this semester. The bad news is it is not the one who's currently hosting the show who holds the all-time record. I finished second that day. I put the whole thing up on my YouTube channel at one point. That's copyright violations. They made me take it down. I may see what I can get out of them for fair use and just put a little bit. But I will figure out the volume problem on that application and figure out how to share that with you on Monday. But that's just so you can hear Johnny Gilbert. But that's just a real quick. One of those three guys is going to be your instructor, but it's not Ken. The third person on the stage with at that time, I apologize, you couldn't hear the audio. Thank you for telling me. It's great you're sharing. That was a test. At any rate, is introduced as an orchid specialist. You should interpret orchid specialist as unemployed actor, because that's what he was. He was an unemployed actor, and he finished third. So, at any rate, that's just a little side trip about me. But thank you for responding quickly, and I will fix that audio problem next time. Now back to a more traditional introduction. I am an adjunct. I am not a full-time professor at UMBC. I work full-time for a company called MITRE Corporation. If you've never heard of them, MITRE is a nonprofit. We're based in McLean, Virginia, with about 9,000 employees worldwide, and we do work for the federal government. That's our charter. We can't make a profit, and we can only work for the federal government. I've been teaching for a long time. I just like it. When I was a grad student, I have 2 master's degrees. I am not a doctor, so you don't call me doctor. I have 2 masters, not a PhD. My first master's was earned at Purdue University a long time ago, and that was my first teaching experience. I was a grad teaching assistant there. I taught calculus, probability, and statistics at that time. Later on in my career, I was selected as a visiting professor at the United States Air Force Academy. Spent a year out in Colorado teaching the core computer science class at the time called CompSci 110 to first-year cadets. And I've been an adjunct here at UMBC a long time. I say this is the 18th semester I've taught. I think that's correct. I taught a long time ago, many semesters. Since I've been back teaching, it's been 4 semesters. This is my 4th semester teaching CompSci 201. Fall of 2019, I taught the major section in Meyerhoff 030 to 125 students. The last 3 semesters, I've taught this section, the non-major section, to more like 15 to 20 students. I enjoy this a lot more. Previously at UMBC, I taught the Intro to Programming, CompSci 101, 102. I taught Java programming. I taught networking. I taught cybersecurity. And again, I need to update that last line, but I have now taught CompSci 201 in fall of 19, spring of 20, fall of 20, and spring of 21. Contacting me. My email at UMBC is arsenal@umbc.edu. I know a number of you have been in contact with me. The note there is please do not use alfreda1@umbc.edu. That happens to be my son. I am Alfred W. Arsenault Jr. He is Alfred W. Arsenault III. He graduated. He works in the community, but he's still in the directory. And so a couple of semesters I've had problems where students looked into the directory, found Alfred A1 is Alfred W. Arsenault, sent him email messages, and of course he doesn't send them on to me, mostly because he doesn't look at his email address anymore from UMBC. So arsenal@umbc.edu will get me. Since I work for MITRE, I am working mostly out of my house these days. I look at email whenever I get a chance, so I tend to respond night or day, random times, but I'll get to you as quick as I can. And this is my cell phone number. If you need to get in touch with me by a cell phone, by a text or voice call, either 1-410-746-4731. Please do not heckle and harass me. And if you try to ping me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I probably won't answer right away, but that's how to get in touch with me. That's the more traditional introduction. As I said, I teach because I like it. I like UMBC. I've been here a while. I like the faculty. Originally, I started at a place called Southeastern Louisiana University. If you Google it, you will find a very small town called Hammond, Louisiana. I'm an Army brat. I was born in Germany, grew up all over the world, and happened to be living in Louisiana when I finished high school, so I went there. My first master's was a computer science and statistics joint degree from Purdue, and then I got really foolish and went back and got a master's in information and data science recently from the University of California, Berkeley. That was largely an online program, but I had to go to California once a semester, so that was a lot of fun. Married, 4 kids. My oldest went to Hood College in Frederick. 2 of them, my son and my youngest daughter, are UMBC graduates. And my middle daughter is a College Park graduate, and 2 of them have master's degrees so far. And I need to update the dog line because the youngest, Mary, has a mutt who is Golden Retriever, Australian Catalog, and a bunch of other things named Bentley, so there's another dog in the house. You will, quite likely, during the course of this semester, hear barking in the background. Right now, it appears somebody's asleep on the mattress behind me in the corner, but around 5 o'clock, somebody's going to want his dinner, and so you might hear barking. Just let it go. I'm a cybersecurity geek. I have been in cybersecurity almost all of my career. I particularly like system architecture, operating system security, network security, public key infrastructures, what have you. Networking in general, which is why I taught the networking course at UMBC for so long. And again, recently, I've developed an interest in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data analytics, which is why I went and got the master's from Berkeley. My wife and I are into competitive ballroom dancing. I used to run the Howard County Youth Program girls softball program. I also coached a ton of other sports. And I used to both fly planes and jump out of them. That was before I had kids and didn't have any time. That's me. Enough. We'll find out more about you later as we have time. Okay. Let's talk about the course. This is the first in the comp sci intro sequence. It's followed by CMSC 202, which is taught in C++. We'll talk about why this is taught in Python in a little while. You have the option, if you want to, if you like Python as a language, you have the option of following this with CMSC 291, which is the second semester Python class. We'll get into that during the semester. It's, it's an interesting thing if people want to really, play around with the language. If you are a comp sci major, you're not supposed to be. Now, if you are an undeclared major who changes your major into comp sci during the semester, that's perfectly fine. This section counts just like all the others, but you have to get a B or better. Anybody else, that's fine. Emphasize the bullet on this slide, which says, there is no prior programming experience needed. We have students in this class who have been programming since they were 7 years old. We have students in this class who have never written a line of code in their life. Sometimes the latter get better grades than the former, just because the former have bad habits that we try to break, and the people who've never programmed haven't had the bad habits. Do not assume that we think you had any program experience or whatever. If you have, that's great. We'll work with you. We'll build your skills. If you have not a problem. I've had people with no programming experience who've easily gotten A's in this class. Again, if you've had a lot of programming experience, we may have to break your bad habits a little bit, but we'll get there. We'll do it gently. Again, this is in computer science. It's in the Python language, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We're going to teach you the right way to solve a problem. We're going to teach you the right way to program. We're not just going to teach you how to throw code together. And we're going to try to the extent that we can, put the programming assignments, the projects, the test questions, etc., into your fields of study. The sections of this course that are designed for majors, you learn this because you have to, right? You learn recursive programming because computer scientists know how to program recursively, and you just have to. Whether it's of interest to you or not, we don't care. It's a fundamental skill. Learn it. What we try to do in this section, in section 40 of 201, is we try to make it more interesting to you. Don't always succeed. I'm not perfect, but we try to make it more interesting to you. We try to make it more applicable to you. We try to make it more relatable. So that is why we have this special section. Is again, we're teaching you the exact same material, but we're focusing on things that you care about a lot more. Python, depending on your background, you may have heard of any number of computer languages, programming languages. C or C++ or the Microsoft version C# are very common. They're used a lot for programming. They're used for speed. You might have learned, I think when my kids took programming in high school, they started to learn some of that. If you take 202, that's in C++. It's a very fast, very efficient language. Java. Java is widely applicable. It runs on almost everything. A lot of people learn to program in Java. JavaScript, which, by the way, has nothing to do with Java. They just stole the name. JavaScript is commonly used in World Wide Web programming. If you're seeing things on a web server, if you're seeing whatever, there's probably a lot of JavaScript. If you're doing big data analytics, if you're crunching, trillions of bytes of data, if you're doing projects where, when I was in grad school at Berkeley, we hooked into the Twitter apparatus, and we were literally monitoring and analyzing billions of tweets per day, looking for tip-offs of problems before the news reported them. We do that in R because R is a language designed for fast programming. Python. Google likes a language called Go, which, because it sounds like the game Go, is often called Golang. You see that. We like Python because it is a very good, very general purpose language. It is widely used in the cybersecurity field. Python is used a lot. It's open source and freely available. Nobody owns it. You don't have to pay a license. You can get all the tools without paying anybody a nickel. There is a ton of freely available tools and libraries out there. I mean, I do big data analytics in Python and just import this and download that and run this, and it's all there. And toward the end of the semester, we'll get into that. Now, it is an interpreted language, not compiled. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. That's not a huge thing to know today. What it means is that Python is not the fastest language around. If you're writing code that has to run absolutely as fast as it can go, you probably don't want to run in Python. But these days, nobody worries about how fast your code runs. I mean, if your code's too slow, go to the Amazon cloud, go to Azure, go to the Google cloud, whatever, throw more hardware at it. You don't have to worry about it. So Python is what we teach because it's widely available, it's widely used, it's free. We're going to talk about all the tools you're going to have that you're not going to have to pay a nickel for it, because we're not going to make you do that. And it's a good way to learn. It's not the best language for everything, and I've had students who said, oh, I want to do C++, I want to do Java. Not a problem. We'll get there. End of this class, you'll learn how to do it right. That's what I've already said. Don't want to waste too much time. How this section is special, pretty much talked about that already. We try to angle the projects and some of the homeworks to things that are going to be of interest to you, to show you how this concept applies in your major field. For comp sci majors, just do it. Why? Because it's important for computer science majors to understand. I don't care if it's interesting or not, it's part of the job, right? For you, in another major, it's like, oh, you need to learn this because it will help you succeed as a chemical engineer. It will help you succeed as an environmental scientist. It will help you succeed as a music performance major. It will help you succeed here and there. So we try to angle the course towards you that way to show you that this is how it applies. All of you are supposed to be non-majors. Again, now I always have one or two who start out not majoring in comp sci and switch to comp sci majors. That's okay. You can do that. We don't object. This class counts just as much. You can move on in the sequence if you do that, but the understanding is that you're all not majoring in computer science. So it's a small size. I think there are 16 or 17 of you registered this semester as of this morning. That's not too bad. That's about what I've had the 3 semesters I've had this class, as opposed to 130 students sitting in Meyerhoff 030 in a normal semester, right? So I can work with you more on an individual basis. We have TAs that are assigned just to this class. Those TAs have more time to work with you on an individual basis. We've got our own Blackboard sites. We've got our own tools. We've got our own things. And I'm going to walk through that during this lecture and show you all the tools, get you up to speed. So what we're trying to do is, if somebody wants to, come be a comp sci minor or take more comp sci, that's great. This class is being funded by a grant to get more people who are not comp sci majors interested in comp sci as opposed to just coding. It's who and why we do this. It's the same lab exercises. Mostly, I do change a couple of the labs. It's the same grading scheme. It's the same content on the same thing. It covers the same topics, and it's just as rigorous. I try not to be any easier than Professor Wilson and Professor Hamilton, who are teaching the majors courses. And I know them, and I've taught the majors courses. So that's why when you get through this, if you do want to move on to Comp Sci 202 or 291 or whatever, there's not a problem. You can do that. Counts just the same. Again, the lab session, your discussion section, is a lab taught by our TAs, 41 and 42, both on Tuesday. I hope we got word. Apologize if we didn't, if there was no lab this week. They start next week. They will be online on a program called Discord, which I'm going to show you later on today, so you'll be all set for them. It's a really good tool that we use. When you go to the lab, you must go to your assigned section. You don't get credit if you go to a different lab section if you don't coordinate with your TA. You're supposed to be in the same one. Okay. If there's an issue, if you have a schedule conflict 1 week or something, we can work it out. Not a problem. But, try to get to your lab at your time. The lectures, as this one is, are all going to be live, probably WebEx. If I change platforms, I'll let you know. I'm not a huge fan of WebEx, but I like it better than the other options available to me right now. If I find something better, I may switch. But right now, plan on WebEx. I will be here live, and this is to be interactive. I know that some of the other sections, they simply record the lectures and you watch them on YouTube at your leisure. I don't do that. It's supposed to be a smaller class interaction. You talk to me, you type questions to me, whatever. So I will, unless there's a major issue, I will be here at 4 o'clock every Monday and Wednesday, and you should plan on being here too. As I said, I do record these. I have a YouTube channel I'll show you in a minute, where I post them, and you can always go to my YouTube channel, and if you miss one, you can watch it later. If you didn't understand something and want to watch it again, it's all there. That's not a problem. Okay. Submission and late policy. We don't accept late work. On very rare occasion, we will grant an extension that's handled on an individual basis, but in general, submit homeworks, labs, etc. on time. Now, we'll walk through, I'll show you later on this lecture how homeworks are going to be submitted. Make sure we get it done. Submit early, submit often. You can submit homeworks and projects multiple times, and it just overwrites. We'll talk about that later when we start getting homeworks due, but submit ahead of time. The worst thing in the world is to say, homework was due at midnight. At 11:59 and 30 seconds, as I went to submit my homework, my internet connection went down. I'm sorry. Yeah, you should have submitted it at like 10 o'clock. With what you had, you'd gotten most of it. And you know, then we can handle issues then. But please submit early, submit often. That's allowed. Get ahead. Academic integrity, my least favorite part of the whole class. But this pops up every semester. There is a website called CHEGG. CHEGG. Okay. CHEGG is a place where you can go and get help on programs, or you can have somebody write programs for you. If you go to the CHEGG computer science section, what happens? It says, see right here, find solutions for your homework. You're not allowed to do that in this class. Every semester, counting you and the majors, as of this morning, enrollment in CompSci 201 is 304. Out of that number, every semester, we will have somewhere between 5 and 20 students who submit a homework or a programming project or a lab that they went to this site, CHEGG. It's always CHEGG. They don't go to other places. It's always CHEGG. And they put out there, hey, here's my homework problem. Could somebody show me how to solve it? And they simply copied in that homework response they got from CHEGG. That's called cheating. We don't allow that. Do your own homework. Get help from the TA. Get help from me. Get help from one of the other professors. Submit. We're pretty generous with the partial credit. Please do not submit a response that you got off CHEGG or some other sites. Why? Because it's cheating. And guess what we do? We have software that monitors CHEGG and looks for solutions to our homework problems. And so when you submit your homework online, we simply compare it to what's available on CHEGG. And if you submitted something exactly that's the same on CHEGG, you either copied, or by some amazingly random coincidence, you got exactly their answer, which is not really related to the program. Worst part of the class, please don't do that, okay? If you're having trouble, ask questions, get help, get partial credit. Please do not submit a homework solution you got off of CHEGG or some other point in the internet, okay? Because we run software, we analyze it, we will find it, and then you will have a very unfun discussion with the CompSci department's academic integrity coordinator about whether, you know, the first one is just a warning, the second one you'll fail the class, and then we'll talk about whether you get to stay a student at UMBC or not. I don't like going there. Please don't make me go there, but we will. Don't copy from CHEGG or any place else. Just don't. We run software, we'll find it, and it won't be pleasant. We try to give you all the help we can. academic integrity. Never, ever submit work done by somebody else as your own. If you submit somebody else's code, if you copy, you both get a 0. And there may be additional consequences, like, as I said, you fail the class or you get to explain why you are allowed to stay at UMBC. Please don't make me go there. I have to report these, and especially as an adjunct, I'm not like a tenured professor who can ignore rules. You know, tenured professors can kind of ignore rules because what can you do to me? I'm an adjunct. They'll find somebody else to teach this class. So I have to report, and I really don't like that. But I will. There's always that one. Do not get somebody else's work. The people on Chegg, by the way, are paid $20 an hour to answer your homework questions for you. That's not enough. Don't do that. Don't copy and paste another person's code. Now, let's be honest. As we get into this, some of the code is going to be very similar. It's going to look the same. Okay, we don't get picky about a few lines that are the same. Leaving your computer logged in where another student can access it, that's not relevant right now. You're all working from remote locations. But if we ever actually do get back to campus, don't do that. Don't share your code with another student. And don't ever attempt to buy code online.
Professor,
yes, ma'am.
are we allowed to work with other students for the homework and kind of like solve the problems together?
We will tell you on each assignment whether you're allowed to or not.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you for asking. Like it. Sometimes you are, sometimes you are not. You can always have a general discussion. By the way, let me clarify this. You can always have a general discussion, right? You can't ask, you know, in some cases, you're not going to be allowed to say, what was your code for question 2? But you can always discuss the problem, right? Or I don't understand recursion, or I'm having a problem with for loops, or whatever. You can always do that. You can always get help from a TA or an instructor. The instructors are Professor Hamilton, Professor Wilson, and myself. The TAs you'll meet, and I'll show you how that's going to work on Discord in a little bit. You can compare output. You can compare results, right? You know, you can say, this is the answer. When my program ran, I got this is the answer. Is that the same answer you got? Is my program working correctly? You can do that. And you can work on practice problems. In other words, we give you some problems that we tell you are practice. They're not graded, and you can always work together. Okay. You know, learn the things, collaboration as a just great questions. Some things will tell you their individual work. Some questions will be collaboration allowed. A note on code. I don't know if I have it in these slides or not. If you do collaborate, acknowledge it, document it, that's fine. I will, during the semester, give you some code samples. I will give you some snippets of code. I will show you how to solve particular parts of problems in class. That's my job, right? We're not here for me. I already know this stuff. We're here for you to learn it. I succeed when you learn it, so I will give you parts. If I give you code, you are always allowed to use it. No questions, no nothing. You just take what I give you and use it because I'm supposed to be teaching you, so that's what we got. So that's one thing. And again, if you have any questions once we get into homework, that's fine. We'll talk about it. Why so much? Again, I hate that part. It happens. There's a couple every semester. Please don't. Now, the fun part. Here are some of the tools and websites, and here is what I would like you to go through and be prepared for next week when we start doing labs and homeworks and things next week, and so by Monday. Now, as I mentioned, this site at GitHub, github.com/al-arsenal201, that will get you into the top level directory of my repo. Right now, for 2021, all I have up there is the lecture notes repository, which has the slides for today in it. If we go back and look at fall 2020, this is what you can expect to see me putting up there later in the semester. Okay. I will put up the assignments there. Now, I try to also put assignments on Blackboard. I'm bad about that. I hate Blackboard, so I don't know why I hate Blackboard. It's not that bad, but I don't always put assignments on Blackboard, but I try to. But I will always put them in GitHub. what I was just talking about is I will have a repository called code samples. Any Python code that I write in class to show you how to solve, I will post on my GitHub repo for you to download, and you are available to use or to extract it. For those, I try to just put the date. This is the class date that I covered that. Here's everything I wrote in class. The reason I put this out there is I don't want you madly scrambling to type in the same things I just wrote down or what I said. Okay, I want you paying attention and asking questions and learning. Okay, so I put these things out there. There's obviously nothing going to be there today, so the repo's not there, but this is what you can see later on. You'll have assignments, lecture notes, the project files, things like that. Yep. If you get help from other students, put their name on top of the assignment so we know. So we can check with them. The answer to that question is, if you work together with another student and get help, and that would be okay, we want to be able to confirm. You say, I got help from Jamal, or I got help from Jane. Okay. We can always have the opportunity to say, oh, you two work together? Cool. Everything was fine. You documented what you did. Cool. That's why we want you to document that. So, yep. So anyway, that is the GitHub repo. Again, I try to put all the lecture notes out there ahead of the actual lecture because you take notes the best way for you, but what I want you to be able to do is follow along, not worry about typing down what I wrote, but I want you to be taking notes on what you need to learn, and I want you to follow along to ask questions. So I try to put all the lecture notes ahead of time. And as I said, I will add the coding, I will add the assignments, I will add documents and references, things like that. The syllabus is not out there yet. I'll put that up there before Monday. The syllabus you'll find in the documents and references file is last semester's. It'll be pretty much the same. There'll be a different number of assignments this semester. So that is key. You can track my GitHub. If you don't know how to use GitHub, you can ask questions or learn. If you know how to use GitHub, you can follow and automatically get notified anytime I put something there. That's all fine. That's a public GitHub account. You don't have to access it from UMBC. I put stuff out there. So that is one of the main tools for you to know is my GitHub site, because that's where you can find all this information. Again, I do use Blackboard for announcements because that automatically notifies you. And I do try to put Blackboard for, put assignments on Blackboard for you to have them. And I do use Blackboard for tests. We'll talk about that in a minute. So let me jump down to the Blackboard page. We do have the class Blackboard page. That is where the tests are. I give, in essence, open book tests. They are not take home, but you'll have 2 midterms plus the final this semester. They will be during the class period and during the assigned final period. You will, I do not use the lockdown browser. I do not have a webcam on you. I do not restrict what you can do, right? And I put out sample tests. You can look at my fall 2020 if you care on GitHub and see what I did. I put out sample exams and things like that ahead of time so you know what to expect, because even now that we've been off campus about a year, these Blackboard exams are all still kind of weird for a lot of people. So I'm not trying to trick you. I put out sample exams, but the tests will be on the Blackboard page. During class, you'll have a certain amount of time, which will be adjusted per student. That will be an issue. And if you can't make it during the test time, we'll have to work something out. Another resource for you, I have a YouTube channel. This is, whoops, wrong place, sorry. Where did I put YouTube? Here it is. This is my YouTube channel. Just search for my name. I'll give you this is the link. You can see I've cleaned it out. All I have in my YouTube channel right now are the lectures from last semester. When this was called Section 60, I just record them. So again, if you miss class, if you don't understand something and want to watch it again, you can go to my YouTube channel and look at the lecture, and that should give you everything you need. This is the URL for my YouTube channel. Just search for my name on YouTube, should show it up. I did put, as I mentioned last semester, I put that whole Jeopardy game. I bought the DVD of my performance. I did put that up there. It stayed for a little while. YouTube eventually made me take it down because it's copyright violation. It's owned by Sony, but I may put that up for those who are laughing and see what I can get away with. But I'll play the intro next time, at least the audio, and we'll go from there. The Blackboard page I mentioned, that's where I put announcements. I'll try to remember to put the assignments there. That's where the tests will be, and that's where you get your grades. Now, yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Are the multiple choice exams and like final exams, is that just multiple choice, or is that also have like the coding aspect, or I'm sorry, the like programming aspect as well?
It has both. I structure the multiple choice and true and false as standard Blackboard multiple choice true false. You'll get your feedback right away. And then I have short answer questions and programming assignments, which I structure as essay questions on Blackboard. And so then I grade them by hand. So your test grade on Blackboard, you'll have, say, off the top of my head, what I want to say is you'll have 10 to 15 multiple choice true false questions, which are worth 2-3 points each. And then you'll have, maybe 5 or 6 short answer questions, which are 4 or 5 points each. And then you'll have usually 2, write Python code that does this, write Python code that does that. And then sometimes debugging is finding errors in code. So sometimes I will give you a Python program and ask you to identify all the errors in it. So they're like that. And I use Blackboard essay questions to do programming and short answer. And the multiple choice is straightforward. Okay? All right. So gl.umbc.edu. All of your programming projects, with one exception, all of your labs and all of your homeworks are going to be submitted to a system called gl.umbc.edu. That is its address. Now, you will have to log into that, and you can do your programming on your own. I'm going to presume you have a computer handy, a laptop, a Chromebook, or something. If you don't, let me know. I actually had a student last spring who only had a phone, and we had to do her programming on her phone. We got her through. She got a B. So we can do that, but it's easier if you have a laptop or something. I'm going to presume you have one of those. You are allowed to do your programming on your own laptop and just move it up to gl.umbc when you submit. Or you can do all your program directly there. Now, what I'm going to show you right now, I have a Macintosh. I will show you on Monday how this works on Windows, but I'm using my Macintosh for this lecture right now. It's a little bit different. So follow along if you're on a Mac. If you're on a Windows box, I'll show you how it works differently next time. It's fairly straightforward. Pull up a terminal window. So if you're on a Mac, this is a terminal, a standard terminal window. I just went to the other settings, other utilities in the Launchpad, and I started a terminal window, and it will look something like this. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is to log in to gl.umbc.edu. I type the command SSH. SSH stands for Secure Shell. SSH space. My username, remember, my username at UMBC is ARSENAUL. The reason is I've been there long enough that when I started teaching, you could only have 8-character usernames, and that's exactly 8 characters. Chop the T off my last name. Yes, go ahead.
We can't see your screen. We could just see the we can see your screen, but it's still on the teaching. We can't see the terminal.
You can't see the terminal. I'm apparently not sharing the terminal. Let me fix that. Thank you for the question. Share content. Share the terminal. Got it now?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is a Mac terminal. I've started it. I typed the command SSH, my username, arsenal, at gl.umbc.edu. Okay? That's how you do it. You type SSH, arsenal, gl.umbc.edu. It will ask for your password. This is the same password as the rest of your UMBC account. UMBC uses a single sign-on. It's the same password. Now, this is a Linux box, Linux operating system. If you don't know what that means, we'll talk about that in a second. It will not echo your password. I just typed in my password. It didn't give me asterisks or dots or move the cursor at all. So I get a number of people who the first time they log into GL, they're typing their password, nothing happens on the screen, they don't think it works. It does. It takes your password and it just does not echo it on the screen. And then it logs you in. And of course, one of the things I've discovered through all my years of teaching is that live demos never work. Everything always fails for you some point during the demonstration. And so right now, what's happening is it's hopefully giving me back a response. I have to try it again. There we go. It finally took it. So it finally logged me in, took my password, gave me the standard UMBC message that said, here's how to contact the help center. Nobody's ever going to ask your password. My last login was the end of last semester, December 10th. It looks like this. Again, GL is a system that runs Linux, 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 a Unix variant. And so you'll learn to use that. Now, it's command line. It is not Windows-based. So you have to learn what's called shell programming. And this is what's called bash, B-A-S-H, bash. That's the name for the command line interpreter that GL uses. People say bash programming or whatever. Bash literally stands for Born Again Shell. There was a guy named David Bourne, wrote a shell for Linux early on. It was called the Bourne shell. Somebody did a modification to it and said, rather than Bourne shell 2, it's the Born Again shell. So bash for short. Now you're going to do bash programming. Okay, and so it's a little bit different than Mac and Windows, but it's similar. You'll get used to it. You type commands. PWD says, what directory am I in? Print working directory is what that stands for. That tells me where I am. I'm in my home directory. To see what files are there, it's list. To change directory is CD. You're going to do this. By the way, Lab 1 and Homework 0 are exactly to learn the GL system. So this is how you will submit your assignments, is you will log into this. Now, as I said, with a Mac, it's terminal. You open a terminal and SSH. If you have Windows, you will use a program called PuTTY, P-U-T-T-Y. The PuTTY program lets you do SSH on Windows boxes. So I'll show you how that works on Monday. In the meantime, if you want to look at it, there's instructions out on the system. We'll get it for you. That is gl.umbc.edu. Let me go back to the slides. Okay. That's how you do your homework. Okay. Yeah, in as far as where terminal is on a Mac, if you go to Launchpad, it is under Other. At least it is on I have the current version. It's under Other. Look at Other, and one of the things is Terminal, and you're good to go. Now, as I said, you'll have to do your homework, and you'll have to submit your homework on gl.umbc.edu. You don't have to do it. You can do it on your laptop, whether it be Windows or Mac. I will usually, not always, but I will usually do these lectures from a Mac. I'll tell you when I'm doing it for Windows. What we like to do is use what's called an IDE, an Integrated Development Environment. we like to do our Python developing in a place where we can quickly write code, test it, debug it, fix it. The one we recommend is called PyCharm, Pycharm. Now, let me show you what we're going to do here. Caveat, PyCharm is not a required part of this class. It's not a core part. The TAs are not paid to teach you PyCharm. So you may have to do a little bit of work on your own. You are not required. I will do my program developing, the code samples I develop. I will use PyCharm. So you are welcome to get it. It makes things easier if you're going to develop Python code on your laptop. Here's what you do to get it. The company that prints it, that develops it, is called JetBrains. JetBrains.com. JetBrains. Now, somebody asked me this. If you pay attention to the news, the recent hack of a company called SolarWinds put malware and a bunch of commercial products. There was some question about JetBrains having been hacked. We are okay with that. We do not believe the code we're going to show you has any malware in it. We do not believe it's been hacked. It's been looked at thoroughly. Okay, so if you have that question, if somebody says, what are you doing downloading code from JetBrains? We're pretty sure it's safe. It's been looked at. Anyway, JetBrains.com. Go to Developer Tools, and the one you want is called PyCharm. Pycharm. So we'll go to PyCharm, and it will pop up, and it's an IDE. IDE means Integrated Development Environment, and this is most of next Monday's lecture, so we won't go into it today. But this is how we develop Python code in general, because it includes all the tools. If you click download, you will get two options. Okay, you do not want professional. If you download the professional version, okay, you're going to have to pay. It costs and it gets pretty expensive. So you don't want that. You want the community version of PyCharm, the community version of Python. The community version of PyCharm is free. There is no cost. You can use it. So we would recommend, it's not required, you don't have to, but we recommend that you download PyCharm and use it. Now, in this case, they have figured out that I am on a Mac, and it's a Mac based on an Intel processor, and so they have automatically given me the right version. If they guessed wrong, I can pick other versions. Like it said, oh, maybe you were on an Apple Silicon, you're on a Mac based on an Apple chip. If you went to this website using a Windows box, it would figure out you're on a Windows box and give you that. So click download and install, and then it will look something like this. And let me make sure I am sharing PyCharm with you. What you get when you finish is something that looks like this. Okay. This is full screen on a Mac. You'll see a menu bar up top. You'll see an organization of projects. So for example, I had all my fall 2020 projects in one directory. I'll have all my spring 2021 in a new directory. This is just a standard directory where you put everything. This is what's called the edit window. This is where you write your code and your comments and you work on things. This is what's called a Python console. This just lets you type in and execute one line of Python at a time, and it's how you test and debug things. And over here, this is what's called the debugging window. It shows you the value of everything in your program, and we're going to talk about this more on Monday, but this is what it would look like, and then it has other options as well. So this is PyCharm. This is the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment, that we use most often in this class. Okay, so that's PyCharm, and I would recommend, if you're going to use it, that between now and Monday's lecture, you go ahead and download it and get it working on your laptop, on your computer, so that you're familiar with it. As I said, it's not required, and I actually had a student last spring, even though we went home for COVID in the middle of the semester from spring break on. All she had was her phone, and we got her through the class. So you don't have to have it. You can get through it, but it's just, it might be easier to follow along to do the same things in PyCharm. Whether you have PyCharm or not, you've got to do the homework turn-in on gl.umbc.edu. So you got to make sure that the code runs there, but we'll work on that. And again, that's really lab 1 and homework 0 next week. The other tool that you need to learn for discussion and other chat is called Discord. Now, if you're a video gamer, you may already know Discord. If not, let's take a look at it. At some point, you're going to get an ID for a Discord account. And when you log in, it will look something like this. It won't look exactly like this because I happen to have the instructor view, so I've got things you're not going to see. Don't worry, it's not like anything is sensitive or whatever, okay? You'll look at something like this. If you have accounts on more than one Discord server, you'll see different things. So like this was spring 2020 server, this was last fall server, this is the one for this semester. You'll see something like that for this semester. Eric the prof is Professor Hamilton. He's the course coordinator. He's in charge of all 201. He owns the server, so he's up here. He's the great and terrible professor. People who are administrators, there's a bot, there's me, and interloper is Professor Johnson, Dr. Ben Johnson, who taught 201 for quite a while and still hangs around. Professor Dixon is a 202 professor, and then Min and Sean is the head teaching assistant, coordinating everybody in 201. Min is the most senior one and writes a lot of code. So we have administrator privileges. We show up over here. Here are all the TAs, and then users show up. The main thing to look at is you will see from instruction on down, and these are various groups. Now, part of this, sorry, having trouble controlling my scroll wheel on my Mac right now. Part of this is it's intended to be a social area as well as a educational area, because you can't get together in class, you can't chit chat, you can't get to know each other, you can't hang out. So we try to provide you a space where if you're interested, you can hang out. So you have course rooms where new topics show up and you are all free to post, okay? On topic, we ask you to keep questions here on topic, okay? This is where you can ask questions or answer questions or try to get a feel for what's going on, okay? Tech support, if you're having problems, somebody already asked, what's an IDE? It's an integrated development environment, because, of course, some people had lecture yesterday in 201. People are putting out there, if you have tech support, you want questions, whatever, you put them here. Off topic, ramble about whatever you want, okay? Oh, Grace is posting. Grace is a trip. She was in my class last spring. She's a trip if you've never met her. She's pretty good. This is where, don't be insulting, don't be profane, keep your insults to yourself, but you could, off-topic discussions, again, we want to kind of foster a community. We want students who are willing to chat among themselves, just have fun, hang out, because we can't do that on campus. Office hours. Office hours are done on Discord. Why? Because it supports text, and it supports video, and it supports audio, and you can talk to your TA, to an instructor, to whoever's working office hours. You can do that. And so the waiting room is where you go when you want help during office hours. You simply go to the waiting room, and student requests here. Student requests tells how to end them. You go to the waiting room and you put in a request for help, and they put you in a queue. It's like a physical line outside the TA's office. And as soon as they get to you, they'll help you with your programming and what have you. Somebody started a section for people to post pictures of their pets because everybody loves cats and dogs. It's the internet after all, and other things. Now, in the course rooms, you will see this one I created, non-majors. So when you're in the non-majors room, that is for us because there's a lot of questions. You know, some of the assignments will be a little different. Some of the schedules will be a little different. Most of the major assignments, the majors assignments are due Friday night. I don't like assignments due Friday night. I like them due Monday night at midnight because that way we have the Monday lecture. And if anybody's having trouble right before it's due, we can work on it. So you typically will have your assignments due Monday night. Their assignments will be Friday night, and people can get confused. So this is the section for us, okay? Non-majors. It is open. Other people may pop in and post questions just because if they're obnoxious, we'll figuratively slap them. But you know, that should be our sections. If you have questions particularly pertaining to section 40 us, that's in this non-major section. Now, each of your lab sessions has a dedicated group of channels. So each of you is in either 41 or 42. If you go to 41, there is a text channel for your lab. There is an announcements and reminders. This is coming from your TA. And there is a voice channel. This is when you connect to the TA or to me, but almost always the TA, and you can talk to that person explaining things right on. And 42, you have your own sections as well. Okay, and the 42 TA wants to have introductions, so this is a place in 42 for you to say, hey, this is, you know, Kevin. Kevin's a really good guy. I like Kevin. He's a good guy. He's your TA in 42. So he put this out there for you to put introductory material so he can get to know you. I'm going to have you email it to me, but that was where, you know, Kevin has his stuff. So this is important on Discord. Discord is where you go for office hours. And office hours, you don't have to go to your TA. You can go to any TA on duty. Discord is where you can go to chat with fellow students and just hang out because you can't do that on campus. Discord is where you can go. Discord is where you will go for your lab sessions on Tuesdays. Okay. And so I see a number of you have been posting. A number of you have already got your IDs and hopefully got set up and log on. And okay, somebody's having a problem. We'll get you worked on that if you're having problems logged in. So make sure that you have this set up and running before next Tuesday, which is the first lab day. Okay, but I wanted to walk everybody through Discord and show you that that's where we're going to have the labs and that's where we're going to have the things. If you're having problems with this, you know, feel free to let me know, email or whatever, and we'll try to get you set up through it. You know, if I have to go to Professor Hamilton or to Sean or to Min, we'll take care of that. Okay. So let's see. I think those are all the tools that we needed to do, and that is the introduction to this semester. Comp Sci 201, Comp Sci, not coding. Sure, you're going to learn how to write Python code. Sure, you're going to learn how to do the tools. You're going to learn how to do shell programming in Bash on GL. You're going to learn to use the dreaded Emacs text editor, which was written in the 1970s and which was old when I learned it many, many years ago. But it's still around. You're going to learn to do Python on a command line on GL. But you're going to learn GitHub, and you're going to learn YouTube and Discord and Blackboard and do the tests. You're going to learn an IDE, and you're going to learn everything else. But you're going to learn the fundamental underlying computer science tools that will take you forward in your own career. And I hope you have a lot of fun, too. I mean, you know, like I said, we're not here for me. I already theoretically know this stuff. So we're not here at all for me. We are here for you to learn. You learn the class, you learn the material and get a good grade in the class. I'm a success. You don't learn the material and drop the class or something. I didn't do so good. So that's why we're here, and I'd like you to keep in mind. At that point, even though we're actually 10 minutes ahead of time, that's all the material I had prepared for today. So what I'm going to do, just wanted to show you, if you get PyCharm up and running, here is how to write your first Python programming. Okay, File, New, and never mind. I didn't set it up right. Here we go. File, New, create a new file, demo.py. All Python programs should end in .py. We'll tell you why later this semester. Look, in my edit window, I have a new blank place where I can write a program. Print. Hello world. Anytime you learn a new computer language, anytime you learn a new system, the first thing you do is you have it print out hello world on the screen. That shows you can make it work. So we'll go down to the Python console. In the Python console, I tell Python, print hello world. And it runs. It prints hello world. You have now written a complete and fully working Python program. That's all it takes. You can now write your first Python program. That's all you have to do. So if you do, between now and next Monday, download the community free version of PyCharm. Do not pay for it. That's a waste of money. If you got that much money to waste, you and I could have a private talk on better ways to waste it. Trust me. We can. And no, I don't mean pay me. I get paid by UMBC. I can tell you things to spend it on that aren't the professional version of PyCharm. So at any rate, if you download it, do that. Write your program, get your program running. Cool, you're a Python programmer. On Monday, we're going to start going into some real, more complex Python programs, how they work and why, how computers work, how this whole computer science thing is. This is all done. The lecture notes will be on GitHub. When I finish updating the syllabus, it'll be on GitHub. I'll put any announcements on Blackboard. You will have your first discussion sections next Tuesday. And that's about it. Are there any questions? And if not, you get, it looks like about 7 minutes free because I'm done early. Anything?
Professor?
Yep.
I was planning on minoring in comp sci. Am I still in the right class?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
In fact, I had a student do that last semester. Catherine. Catherine was excellent. It was a great idea. Yep, you're here.
Also, one more question. Are you going to send us the Discord link, or is it going to happen next class?
I thought that Professor Hamilton was sending them out to everybody. Let me double check.
All right.
Yeah, Professor Hamilton, as the course coordinator, he owns the server, so I thought he was doing that. I'll double check it.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I had one. Is this going to be uploaded to YouTube?
This video, yes. When we're through, I'm going to stop the recording and I'll upload it to YouTube. And it typically takes WebEx about an hour or two to edit the video, so it'll be later tonight. But yeah, this lecture will be on YouTube later.
Professor,
Sounds good.
I have two questions. What's your YouTube channel again?
The easiest thing to do, let me go back to YouTube. All right, stop that. The easiest thing to do is search for Alfred Arsenault and go there. If you can see in the bar, if you can see in the menu bar, it's a long string. It's youtube.com/channel/ and then it's that long string of letters and numbers. But like I said,
Okay, it's there's several Alfred Arsenaults, so I think
somebody was kind enough to post it in the chat. So if you copy it out of the chat window, you should be good.
All right, thank you. And also, do I already have a Discord? But do I have to make another Discord account for what you've got, or can I use my existing Discord?
You should be able to use the existing account, but we'll have to make sure that you're granted access to. I mean, it's the CompSci 201 server is a private server. You know, we don't to prevent the random, somebody bombing from another country. It's restricted to, UMBC people. So we'll have to make sure we've got access. Go ahead and try to get in it. And if you have a problem, let me know. Professor Hamilton should be sending out the thing. It should be called CMSC 201 Spring 2021. See if you can get in that server.
Okay. Okay, would I need to change my screen name to reflect my real?
Let me ping Professor Hamilton and see. Go ahead and try. If you can't get in with your existing Discord account, then we'll ping Hamilton and see what he did with your account. We'll figure it out.
You need to invite us so that we can get in though.
Well, Hamilton was sending out all the invites. So, like I said, let me talk to him because I don't know how many invites he has sent out already, and I don't want to double up on it. If he has, I'll tell you what, if Hamilton has not already sent out the invites, I will do that tonight or tomorrow, so you'll have it by tomorrow at the latest, okay?
Okay. I mean, you can just copy the link right now and like post it in chat if that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's you right click on the server and then on the server you want to send and then go invite people.
Hang on.
Invite people. It's in blue.
Yep, got it.
And then you copy the link. Yeah, you can just post it in chat.
Okay. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm gonna stay on, but I'm gonna stop recording.
Professor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, sorry, I got disconnected. Would I, for my other question, would I need to change my name to kind of reflect my real name in the Discord, or is it alright if I keep my screen name? Like, how does that work?
You can keep your screen name. You can see people. Some people use their real name, and some people have nicknames that they like, and then you just have to figure out who it is. Because it just depends on how many times you want to explain to somebody who you are.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right. Okay, that's all. Thank you, Professor.
No problem. Anybody else?
The link was invalid, but I guess Mr. Hamilton's gonna send it to us, so that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna ping him. When I talked to him, last time I talked to him was yesterday morning, and he had not sent it then, but he was going to. So let me make sure. Like I said, if he hasn't done it yet, I can take care of it for all of you. I just don't want to resend it if he already has or it's in his queue or whatever. So I'm just gonna ping him.
All right.
He's also teaching right now, so when we're both done, I'll get in touch with him later tonight, and you'll either get it later tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, anything else?
I had a question.
Sure.
So I don't know whether my laptop is like running under Intel or Apple Silicon, like for the PyCharm. I didn't know which one to choose.
Okay. What you should be able to do is go up to the Apple and About This Mac, and let's see. Under specifications, it should support Apple redirected. Okay, I'll have to figure that out. But that's what you do. You go up to the Apple, and then you click About This Mac, and then you click specifications, and that's where it should tell you what you've got.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Professor, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I wanted to write down all the homeworks and exams and just keep them in mind.
Yep.
I was wondering, did you send out a sheet or a paper with upcoming assignments?
I will do that. I have not done it yet.
Okay, all right, just checking. Thank you, Professor.
Not a problem. Yeah, typically they're pretty evenly spaced. So the first exam is probably, I try to do all the exams on Wednesdays. So typically the fifth week of class. So either, whatever, I don't have a calendar in front of me, whatever that Wednesday is, late February, early March will be the first exam. And then, of course, with spring break, the second one will probably be in mid-April. And then the final is that week in May. But I will send that out.
Okay, thank you, Professor. How are homework structured, by the way? I just wanted to ask.
Okay, so we have labs and we have homeworks. Labs you do every week. They're small programming projects that, should take you an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
There are, during the course of the semester, 6 homeworks. The homeworks are like mini programming projects. So you'll actually have to write a program to solve things. And then you're graded on your code. You're graded on how it's commented. Obviously, you're graded on whether it runs the right answer, but that's actually not that much of it. But basically, plan on the 6 homeworks being largely smaller programming projects. The labs are little assignments, and then you will also have 3 big, as in they'll take several weeks, programming projects.
All right, thank you so much, Professor.
Sure. Okay, anybody else? Alrighty, then I will log off. I am available anytime. Just ping me, and otherwise, I will see you next Monday. Have a good week.
Question.
Sure, go ahead.
I was wondering what's the difference between ComSci 201, like the section, and ComSci 104?
104 is not in the path for majors. It's a separate. I don't want to say easier. That's unfair. But it's a lower level class for people who have no intention of ever majoring, minoring, or whatever in computer science. I mean, it's a good programming class, but it's, for people who, I want to take one programming class and never do anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, cool.